Good morning and welcome. Happy Friday. We're finally here, and it couldn't come any faster. What a week it's been. A tough week here at Patriot Radio News Hour, Patriot Trading Group, and 1360 KHNC, and of course, can't forget about 1010 KXXT here in town. You know, this was a tough week all the way around. KXXT got hit with a ransomware, if you will, attack. Here at Patriot, obviously, with Eric and a lot going on there. Lori was in. Just been a tough week, and then of course got bad news about I'm going to need surgery on my arm. I'm going to need surgery on my neck. So. Just a tough week. Thankfully, it is Friday, and you know what that means, right? You know what? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's load it up, get a couple of fingers of Jack in the coffee, and be thankful that we're here and hope for better times to come. Patriot Radio News Hour, Patriot Trading Group, legal, lawful, constitutional tender. You know what? Let's face it, biblical tender. Something that has been money for 5,000 years, not a couple of hundred, not 50. It's something where you don't have to worry about Jay Powell making some ridiculous announcement like he did yesterday. And for those of you, if you missed yesterday's show podcast to listen to it, remember, again, my tech guy's asking for all you podcasters to write some reviews and try to say nice things, and listen, just remember this. I could have it be a video. Then you'd have to see my face, and that would horrify you. So I don't do that. So it's just my voice, and you can pretend that I'm a super svelte, really handsome-looking man. So just keep that in mind when you're writing those things and saying nice things about me. I know my tech guy will appreciate that. But just like I promised you, it didn't even take 24 hours. And the Federal Reserve bankers are already saying, hey, I wouldn't mind if inflation was more than 2.5%. How about 3%? Right? Yeah, I told you. And again, remember this. Remember it right now. 2.5%, 3%, that's not enough. 4%, that's not. 5%, 6%, it's not enough. It's over. We're on the decline for the Federal Reserve note. You know it. I know it. The question is, are you going to prepare for it? That's it. It's the only question. Believe me, there is no doubt. They have written books about this, and so many of them. The last one, the guy who's the head of the IMF, the death of cash. Right? And he talked about how every time in history, fiat money goes to zero. Just does. Not saying it to scare anybody. It's what it does. And it's so funny this time around, I guess, the people that first started fiat money. I know a lot of you, if you listen to the show, you know the answer. It was the Chinese, the Ming Dynasty. They were the very first. I think it was 1200 AD or something like that. Guess what happened? Yeah, after 100 years, it went to zero. And every currency had to, and you know why they go, and the story's always the same. Well, they just keep printing it and printing it and printing it, and pretty soon, nobody wants it anymore. And what Jay Powell announced yesterday was, hey, baby, we're going to keep printing it. And yesterday I told you I had a feeling. I didn't know, but I had a feeling. Gold spiked when they released the press release, the typed version, and then it fell all in a matter of minutes, and they had this saying, I told you, all the shorts were getting out. Because they help each other. That's what they do. And, of course, the big move again today. This is what we're at. I don't even know if, is $50 a big move anymore? I don't even know if it's a big move anymore. But gold and silver up. Gold's up 50, 1975. And this is the October contract. The one that you see on TV, is the December contract. That's the one that trades all the time. It's at 1983, but here we go, getting ready. We're going to see gold back above 2,000. We're going to see new highs, and all of the central banks. You should hear them talking about worries about double dips, talking about, well, we don't care. Let inflation be over 2.5%. Let it be 3%, 4%. Silver's up 70 cents, 27.75. As layoff announcements, I got a slew of layoff announcements to get to. We'll get to all of that as well. We're going to talk about a couple of things that we're going to talk. Obviously, we'll talk a little more about Jay Powell and what it means. Virginia's been doing a lot of weird things. The Senate in Virginia, I guess last night, voting, and I can't believe it, to reduce the penalties for assaulting police officers. And this is it. This is the breakdown. This is the fight. You know, Donald Trump accepting the nomination, gave that speech. I thought it was a good speech. It was too long, but I thought it was really good. But law and order, the vacuum always gets filled. And I'll use an example of that. When we have tried to be the military might, look at Iraq. Look at Afghanistan, all these countries that we try to topple the dictators. What always fills the void when you get rid of law and order? It's not peace and love, right? It's not peaceful protest that's going to fill the void, folks. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. For those of you that were listening to 1360, you heard James Morgan's commercial playing. Just want to let everyone, next Wednesday, it's going to be 12 to 12:30. I think it's my time, but Wednesday after Kara's show, I'm going to have a half-hour interview with James Morgan. We're going to talk real estate because we've had this weird thing going on. Matter of fact, the government just came out with the people not paying again. The foreclosure, I can't say foreclosure, just the amount of people not paying in government programs rising again. Now they're saying in some cities it's as high as 27%. A lot of cities it's 20% plus. Overall in the country now, 16 or 17% of people with government-backed mortgages are not paying, but yet we're seeing record high housing prices. And a guy like James, he's great because he's not a realtor like, hey, I just do Denver or I do Colorado Springs or whatever. He does the whole state. He does the mountain resorts. He does your house. He knows it all. So we're going to get his spin on that. Something you guys all may want to pay attention to. It's going to be very interesting to see what he thinks all of this is happening. I got people, listen, we have customers all over the country. Anywhere in the if you're a territory of the United States, obviously all 50 states, we have customers in every state, but we'll also have customers pretty much in every U.S. territory. But that's all we ship to. We don't ship out of the country. If you wanted to do $1 million or more, we can arrange it. Right, but it's got to be, you got to do big money for us to set that up. Otherwise, we deliver pretty much to every U.S. state and all U.S. territories. But I've been talking to a lot of our people that live in the Midwest. They live in what I would call, like the Ozarks, Tahoe, right? Vail in Colorado, right? Places that were kind of what I would call vacation places, the getaway places for the wealthy people, and they're all saying the same thing. They're coming in by the droves, but it's something a little different. They're coming there to live. They're leaving the big cities, driving up the price of everything. Lumber, the price of lumber was up lock limit yesterday. Lumber prices going through the roof. And again, there's no inflation. Don't worry about it, right? And Daniel DiMartino Booth, because sometimes it's better when you hear it from somebody else. He was telling you how the Federal Reserve lies. Hey, they use reimbursement payments for medical expenses. Well, you know what happens. All of us know. We just pay more. Hey, they're only going to reimburse for this, and they just tack the difference on us. They don't track that. They don't want to track that. Right? She told you about housing and how they minimize that. The number one expense any of us has, and if you look at our budget, unless you've got your house paid off, the number one expense that we all have is what? The rent, the mortgage. Right? It should count the most. No, that's not how it works, folks. And now they're saying they want to make it even worse. No wonder why gold is flying off the shelves. We've had calls here all morning long from people just saying, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? And I've called around and all this, and this is just what it's going to be. We've been saying this for a while, but let's just go over here's just some layoff announcements, and this is just in the last few days. Coca-Cola today, 4,000 people. MGM, MGM Resorts, I call them Las Vegas, 18,000. Now they said, hey, if it ever gets better, we'll try to hire you back. 18,000. Delta, right, the airlines, it's starting to scare me now. Delta's like, hey, 2,000 pilots are going away. United said, oh, that's nice. We're going to have 2,850 pilots going away. American Airlines already announced earlier in the week, hey, we're laying off at least 19,000 people. Salesforce is laying off 1,000 people. Bed Bath & Beyond is laying off 2,800 people. Lord & Taylor, which is, a lot of people have never heard of Lord & Taylor, but Lord & Taylor was the very first department store. It's like, I think it's like 195 years old, completely out of business. They just announced, they tried to save themselves, couldn't do it, announced today they're shutting all of their stores. And then really interesting, do you know what the fastest growing way of exchanging goods and services is? Obviously the normal way, right? Cash, right? Credit cards, right? The electronic payments, Bitcoin, all that. Bartering. Yeah, bartering's back. You don't think you're going to need some gold and silver? You absolutely are. And you think about what I said earlier, talking about, what happened in Iraq? What happened in Afghanistan when we toppled the dictators, right? Because they were horrible people. But you know what they did? They maintained law and order. And when you lose law and order, what fills the void? I'm going to tell you what never fills the void. Peaceful protesting doesn't fill the void. Love doesn't fill the void. Violence fills it. And now we're talking about states. It's bad enough that these states don't, and these cities, they don't want to get out and protect the American entrepreneur. They don't want to protect small business. They don't want to protect your homes. I mean, I would hate to think of what I've seen in all of these other cities happening where my business is located every day, day in, day out, day after day, or where my home is, right? And it'd be devastating. And they won't do it. And they're talking about, lessening assaulting police officers. I mean, when you think about it right now, and you go out to like GoFundMe pages and all that stuff, and I don't want other shows can get into what happened with that 17-year-old in Kenosha, and you can draw your own conclusions. But I will just say this about it: that kid wasn't out there just shooting randomly, right? He was being assaulted. Period. And they don't want to tell you this, right? These are great guys that were doing the assaulting. The first one, which started it all, I won't even go into it. You can look it up yourself. These were not nice people, contrary to what they want to tell you on CNN. And again, this is what's going to happen. What did you expect to happen when you don't have law and order? Citizens are going to try to protect themselves. And the car lots, they're taking these cars, and again, they're not going out to the the nice high-end car lots. They're going to these used car lots and they're burning the cars, right? They're setting stores on fire, and then they're interviewing these people. They're like, well, it's okay if we set this guy on fire. Well, they've got insurance. Someone burned an AutoZone or something. Well, AutoZone's got insurance, so it's okay. So what are you saying? I've got insurance on my house, so it's okay for you to burn my house down? Right? Not to mention all the people that worked at that AutoZone are now out of a job. I just don't get it. It's incredible what's happening in this country. And then you think about the election and all that. And I don't like to do politics, but I'm gonna do a little bit, because this is what I think I see happening. We're going to have the election. The mail-in, not mail-in, this, that. The Democrats are already gearing up to contest it. The president's term ends at noon, January 21st, 2021. At that point, he ceases to be president. The Electoral College, usually before that happens, has already said who the next president is going to be. Now, it could be Donald Trump again, right? Or it could be Joe Biden. But that's the process. If this thing is being challenged and the Electoral College can't come to, you need the 272 delegates. Right? Think about, you just start picking states. Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, they contest enough states, and the Electoral College people say, well, we can't vote yet. And nobody has 270. Come the noon on the 20th or the 21st of January, do you know who takes over? It's whoever the Speaker of the House is. Now, all of us are assuming that the Democrats are going to maintain control of the House, and they're going to renominate Nancy Pelosi. So, yeah, it's possible. And that woman's just absolutely nuts. She's bat you-know-what crazy. She could be running things. I know it sounds nuts, but that's what the law is. Just saying, I don't know, right? Maybe you want to have a little more gold and silver put away here. 800-951-0592. I don't know where to go. How about this? I'm just going to read you some headlines. Remember the blackouts in California? We heard about them again, the rolling blackouts last week. Do you know why that happened? It happened because this is how this green energy thing, people don't understand and don't think it through and don't tell you the truth. California has made such a push on solar power. And it's not even good solar power, where if the power actually went out, you'd still have power. That's not how it works in California. Right? Unless you're a smart guy and know you, right? They put the solar on your roof or whatever they do. They're not capturing it at the house. They're giving it back to the power company, and then when the power goes out, you don't have power either. But because of all of that, the power companies normally, we're getting all this power. We don't need new power plants, and when they closed power plants, and then all of a sudden, when they have these spikes, because it got super hot or whatever, we got a spike, they can't meet the demand. They've actually done it to themselves. I mean, this is the idiocracy that the left has, and it's just one example. I mean, could you imagine? Listen, if California had its way, they'd have blackouts all the time. I mean, if it gets any worse, it won't even have to be super hot anymore. How about this one caught my eye? Production of cars in the world. And they did a comparison from 2014 to 2019. In 2014, China made just a touch under 20 million vehicles. 2019, they made 21 million vehicles. Now, remember, we in 2019, I think we had like 17 million vehicle sales. New vehicles, 17 million. Do you know how many vehicles the U.S. makes? In 2014, we made a little over 4 million. Last year, we made 2.5 million, a decrease of 41% in vehicle production in the United States. And I only bring it up, number one, that was by far the largest in the world. Germany, by the way, probably not surprising. Germany, by the way, they were the second worst at negative 16%. Right? You know, China was up 7%, Japan was up, India was up, right? You know, Mexico was up. A country that doesn't produce things, right? That's when its reign ends. Just another example. Thought I'd throw that out there for you, just so you can see, man, how did we get down to 4 million? Now we're down to 2.5 million. How did this happen? Patriot Radio News Hour. I got a special for you today that I think's going to light it up. We'll be back.
Yes, ma'am, by God be darned.
800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Gold's up 50, silver's up 75 cents, and a new pattern here in the gold trade actually emerged yesterday. A new bullish thing. So you're going to see the computer buying again, momentum buying. I wouldn't be surprised if we see new all-time highs here again. We're gonna. I mean, just now again, because so much of this is computer stuff. They love this chart crap. But let's face it. Here's the realities. Jay Powell yesterday at Jackson Hole, the virtual Jackson Hole, said, "Hey, we're going to buy everything. We're going to print money, and we're going to keep printing it. No rate increases." Because here's what they said. Normally, the way they want you to believe there's some textbook, right, that shows how smart they are. The realities is just the opposite. The textbooks that they've written shows how stupid they are. So, as we've seen, especially over the last 20 years, they make stories up of, well, you know, that textbook's wrong now. You know, it's different now, and it's different this time. No, it's not different. It's the same. You've created all of this debt, and nobody wants it. And so now you're monetizing, right? This is the beginning of the end. You know, right now we know $7 trillion. Jay Powell yesterday just kind of let everyone see. They already know. As soon as they really stop the moratoriums on evictions and foreclosures, they're going to need trillions of dollars. I don't know how many trillion. 3 to 5. And this is, and I'm talking, you know, the next 12 months. You know, think about it. At the beginning of the year, the Fed's balance sheet was under $4 trillion. And now I'm telling you, hey, by next year, right, you're going to see, I don't know, 12 trillion, 10, 12 trillion, no problem. No problem. And it's only going to get worse, because it doesn't fix the problem. Let me give you another example. SNAP. You know SNAP. EBT food stamps. Now, since Donald Trump was in office, that food stamp number was going down. Right? One of the bad things I thought about the Obama administration was the jobs that they were creating they were bad. They weren't great jobs. And so the food stamp enrollment really didn't fall very much from the financial crisis. Didn't really fall much. I think we went from, we were like at 48 million, and I think over the 8 years of Obama, it only fell about 4 million. Donald Trump had this thing going the right direction. He did. You got to give him credit for that. I don't give him credit for everything. I give him credit for that. I mean, we got below 40 million. So he went from about 44 million to about 38 million. That's over. Matter of fact, Sonny Perdue is the guy that runs he's the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture. That's where that's the government agency that issues the food stamps. In 2019, they issued about $60 billion worth of food stamps. The Department of Agriculture believes that this year's number is going to be somewhere around 90, maybe $100 billion in food aid. So, I mean, you do math. You're like, okay, wait a minute. 60 billion, add 30 billion. That's a 50% increase. Does that mean we went from 38 million to, did we add another 18 million? Are we going to have a number closer to 55, 60? Are we going to have 50, 60 million people on food stamps? And let me tell you right now, food stamps is a huge, huge business. Walmart, obviously, the number one recipient of the benefits, the superstores, if you will, so like the Walmarts. I don't know, I guess throw Costco in there, right? The super Targets. 30% of all of that aid goes to those stores. Kroger, Safeway, they're the next ones. You know where they're used at. But this is an incredible amount of money, and you're sitting there and you're thinking about where are we headed next? Right? And we're seeing the effects of this now. The food stamp rolls, it appears, now they're not giving a number, but it looks like on paper, just about on what they're spending, just on their spending. When you take $60 billion, which they spent last year, that was about $5 billion a month. Right now, when you get into the June and July numbers, they're adding about $2 to $2.5 billion more a month. And I know I only went to public school, but that's 50%. 50%, 40, 50% increase. Which means we're going to have, 55 million people on food stamps now? And this is the prosperity we're talking about? This is why Jay Powell made that announcement yesterday. Believe me when I tell you. He didn't make that announcement about inflation. That's it. We want inflation to be hot. No, that's not what it's about. Inflation's already skyrocketing. What it's about is we are going to have unlimited printing of money because we don't know what to do because the banks aren't solvent. I'm sorry. You cannot have 4, 5, 6 million households not paying their mortgage and have banks be solvent. It doesn't work that way. You can't have 30% of people not paying their commercial real estate loans and banks stay solvent. It doesn't work that way. Get ready. Get prepared. That's really the only question. Are you going to prepare or are you not going to prepare? I'd be very, very leery of any of these paper assets. Now, today, the Dow's up a little bit today, but these tech stocks, remember those tech stocks I talked about the other day? They're the third largest economy in the world by market cap. They're worth like $8 trillion. 7 companies are worth like $8 trillion. They're now worth more than the entire European stock market. It's a dangerous place to be. And you know what? I'm going to say this. Outside of Tesla, they may be worth it. This is the trend. Less, not more. There's no competing. There's no capitalism here. This is all out. This is monopolies. This is what happens. This is how you get a isolated, super mega rich class that's super small, and then you see the huge flushing sound of the middle class. I mean, are you kidding? Where do you think these 18 to 20 million extra people that all of a sudden need food stamps, where do you think they came from? What class do you think they were in? The people, the 38 million that were already on food, they were already in the lower class. Got a gold special for you coming up next. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch that dial. 800-951-0592. Listen, I got to laugh. I'm looking at some headlines scrolling across the screen. Walmart making a play for younger shoppers with potential stake in TikTok, analyst says. Give me a break. Walmart doesn't need to make a play. They just got to wait for that person to get their food stamps, right? They don't need TikTok. But this is the problem, right? There's only a handful of companies that can buy a company right now because there's only a few that are really, truly profitable. Scary stuff. So today, and I'm gonna ask that be patient. Arlene is here by herself. I have told her to be rude, and let me tell you what I mean. Normally, when the phone lines start ringing, we'll just say, Patriot, please hold, and Arlene will actually wait for you to say okay or this or that. I told her, no, just hold. And she's just going to cut you off and put you on hold if the phones stack up. Already, they're not even waiting for the special. They're already calling. I've got U.S. $5 Liberties. These are the older ones, 1866 to 1907. And I've got a good chunk of them, about 125 of them. It's actually 128. 128 U.S. $5 Liberties. They normally would be $5.95. They're going to be $580 if you buy 20 or more. $575. This is U.S. $5 Liberty Gold pieces. Again, the older ones, the quarter ounce, 1866 to 1907, 1 through 19 at $580, 20 or more, $575 at 800-951-0592. You can also order them online at allamericangold.com. The only thing you can't do, you don't get the volume discount if you order online. So I'll give you two places to go. U.S. $5 Liberty Gold. This, Thursday or Wednesday, I did the lead pipe lock of the week on those 20s, and congratulations to the people that bought them. We pretty much by the end of the day, we sold them out. This is a fantastic opportunity. The last time we ran $5 Liberties, I think we were at $585 in a volume discount, $585, maybe $580 at a volume discount. This is take advantage. We're not back to those all-time highs yet. And again, $50 moves is nothing anymore in these gold markets. 800-951-0592. There's a big article on Drudge today talking about how bartering, right, is making a huge comeback, and I see it. I get it, right? And having a $5 gold piece, this would be more like paying your property tax in the future. Maybe it's a generator, right? This is for some of the a bigger purchase. A $20 gold piece. You're talking about, hey, I'm buying a car, right? Maybe you're buying a house, right? Think about Venezuela. Remember runaway inflation in Venezuela? This is what the Fed is messing with here. A $20 gold piece that'd buy a house. That's how bad inflation could be. This is a very dangerous precedent by the Federal Reserve. And again, throwing the rules out. They had rules about this stuff. They wrote books about it. Man, they taught their classes at Harvard and Yale and Columbia and Stanford about economics, right? And this is how they all got their pedigree. Janet Yellen was so good she wrote the textbook herself. And now they're saying, "Oh well, forget the textbook. This is new. It's new, and it's so much better this time." Really, what they're saying is, "Hey, listen, we're trying to just extend, right? We're trying to extend because they already know it's unpayable, right? When we talk on national debt, $27 trillion, we know, okay, is it going to be the only debate this year? Is it going to be $29 trillion or $30 trillion? We just don't know yet. It's going to be one of those two numbers." They're never paying that back. They're never paying it back. If you think about the derivatives in the banks, remember the derivatives I was telling you about. J.P. Morgan in their stress test said, hey, we've got $47 trillion of derivatives. Now, what are derivatives? Derivatives are simply pick a type of a loan. Home loan, commercial real estate loan, credit cards, right? Because credit cards are a loan, right? Auto loans, right? Any loan, home equity line of credit, right? Any loan you can think of. And then they tear them up into itsy-bitsy pieces. And they mix them all up with all these other loans all around the country, and they mix them all up at the same time, and they call it securitized. See, it's safer that way, right? No one bank owned Metro Center here in Phoenix, the mall that's completely empty now, right? That they're probably going to bulldoze, right? No one bank owned it, right? They all owned a little bit of it, right? And it's fine when it's isolated. But as we learned with the last housing crash, right, the world's a smaller place now. There's no such thing as isolated anymore. You used to have regional stuff and local stuff. Not anymore. Not anymore. And, of course, they said $47 trillion, but then the Fed came out and said, well, they're all lying, right? They've got 55, and Citigroup's got 53, and Bank of America's got 52 trillion. These are trillions and trillions. And all of this is unwinding and coming apart, which is going to create the crisis. The crisis that ends the Federal Reserve note. And we're going to go, I'm hoping for orderly. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it's orderly. I'm hoping we don't have runaway inflation. I'm worried about it. I'm hoping it doesn't happen. And then they're going to tell you the electronic currency is going to be your salvation. But the problem is all that money you've had in the bank, your bank accounts and all of those things, its ability to buy things will be so diminished. It'll be devastating. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment on a Friday. 800-951-0592. Take advantage or don't. That's really your only option here. Just to the break, I was telling Arlene, another price increase from the wholesalers here. Gold's up almost $50 today. I mean, we're used to it now. We're going to see big moves. A lot of talk now, the chart formations and the bullish patterns. And I mean, gold's bullish for one reason. The dollar's devaluing. Period. Matter of fact, the dollar getting ready to break 92 here. We've been floating around.
Hey, Joe, Joe, you hear me? Like, I have a quick observation. I just want because this gold, especially now these are silver numbers, but gold did the same thing. I don't know if this is going to be a pattern, but it sure seems like a pattern is starting. We're at the end of August. Monday's the last day of August. I've noticed these are silver numbers. Silver was kind of at a low number on May 6th, about $14.80 an ounce, and then it started taking off upwards. On July 2nd, silver was sitting at $17.94 at the beginning of the month, and then it just started taking off that month. At the beginning of August this month, by August 6th, just 6 days into the month, silver was at $29.04. So for whatever reason, these last bunch of months, it seems like silver and gold like to have a big rise upward in the first week of each month. I don't know if that's going to happen for September, but sure seems like it likes to sit in the middle of the month and have a little boost at the beginning of the month.
You actually nailed it, Jason, because a lot of these, because contract rollovers, so you see these spikes and absolutely you see as the ends of the month, everybody's going long again, and you see when you see the new highs and you see the breakouts, it's usually early in the month. And then, you have some consolidation in the middle to the end of the month, and then it spikes again. And this is a pattern. You're going to see this continually because, again, it's not just us. Everybody's doing the whole printing press thing. I want to bring up something really quick because it just came out. Remember Ben Bernanke in the housing crisis said it was just a subprime problem? The FHA is just releasing their numbers, and they said in July They were already, the subprime mortgages, 17% were delinquent, and they were expecting the August number to exceed 25%. So could you imagine 25% of all subprime mortgages are not being paid for? This is the type of thing that you need to be paying attention to. And I know, listen, Apple's great and Tesla's great and Microsoft's fantastic, but believe me, the big money is pouring it into gold. And Jason, just a great observation by Jason there, talking about how these contracts work. We're rolling over. Remember, the August contract is over. Everyone's rolling into October, rolling into these December contracts. U.S. $5 Liberties, 1 through 19, 580, 20 or more at 575, 800-951 0592. That's the toll-free number. U.S. $20 gold piece now $22.25, and I told Irene I probably need to raise the price on that, but this is how quickly these markets move. It doesn't take long. We still got two lines still open here at 800-951-0592. Everybody out there, listen, take care. I know it's tough week, but we'll get through it. God bless everybody. Listen, be safe out there over the weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.